Sometimes, without even realizing it, people display certain behaviors that others interpret as strange. Yet, according to psychology, many of these habits are not signs of weakness, but rather quiet indicators of high intelligence. What may appear confusing from the outside is often a self-protection and processing mechanism of a deeply thinking mind. If you recognize some of these traits in yourself, there's a strong chance that your mind operates at a depth most people never reach. So what are these behaviors? Let me introduce them to you. You may have already noticed some of them in yourself. Before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and like the video. People with a high level of intelligence often engage in internal dialogue when they are alone. Sometimes this dialogue is silent, and other times it appears as whispers or even spoken words. To an outside observer, this may seem strange or difficult to understand, but in reality, it is one of the brain's most effective ways of functioning. In psychology, this process is known as verbal thinking and serves as a natural mechanism for reducing mental confusion. Turning thoughts into words, rather than keeping them only in the mind, plays a powerful organizing role for the brain. Highly intelligent individuals use this method to structure their thinking, separate their emotions, and gain a clearer perspective on problems. Talking to oneself helps regulate the constant flow of information in the mind and prevents distraction. In truth, this behavior is not a sign of indecision, but rather an indication of deep analysis. Instead of rushing to conclusions, such individuals test their thoughts, voice different possibilities, and evaluate multiple scenarios by hearing them in their own mind. This allows them to make smarter, more balanced decisions that take long-term consequences into account. In short, what may appear strange to others is actually a natural and effective strategy used by an intelligent mind to maintain focus, bring order to chaos, and deepen the thinking process. People with high intelligence are often confronted with the question, "Why do you think so much?" But their overthinking is not driven by anxiety. It stems from the brain's natural way of operating. For such individuals, thinking is automatic. The mind doesn't evaluate situations from a single angle, but from multiple dimensions at once. In psychology, this is referred to as cognitive complexity, the ability to view an issue simultaneously from several perspectives. These minds quickly detect subtle details, hidden cause and effect relationships, and long-term consequences that others tend to overlook. A decision does not appear in their mind as a simple right or wrong choice, but as a map of probabilities. Which option leads where? What does it offer in the short term, and what might it cost in the long run? These questions are analyzed almost instinctively. From the outside, this process may look like hesitation or indecisiveness. In reality, it is an effort to avoid shallow decisions. Highly intelligent people are not satisfied with the first answer that comes to mind. They carefully filter their thoughts, measure risks, and mentally simulate outcomes in advance. As a result, even if they take longer to decide, their choices tend to carry far less regret. Their tendency to overthink does not mean the mind is noisy, it means the mind is deep. And that depth is not focused merely on seeing the problem, but on solving it in the most accurate and thoughtful way possible. For people with high intelligence, walking is not merely a physical activity, it is a form of mental balance. This is why long walks, especially when taken alone, are no coincidence. The steady rhythm of quiet steps creates a mental cadence, and that rhythm allows the mind to think more deeply. Psychology shows that walking activates both creative and problem-solving regions of the brain, helping thoughts flow more freely. When these individuals are alone, external noise fades while internal connections grow stronger. Thoughts no longer clash. Instead, they begin to organize themselves naturally. Questions that have remained unanswered for a long time often become suddenly clear during these silent walks. In such moments, the mind releases forced focus and begins to work in a freer, yet more productive way. From the outside, this behavior may be mistaken for loneliness or withdrawal from others. In reality, highly intelligent people are not avoiding human connection. They simply understand that certain layers of thought can only be reached through silence. Social interaction directs energy outward, while solitude gathers it back inward. During these walks, they are able to evaluate life events, relationships, and decisions with greater objectivity. Emotions settle, the mind clears, and a more honest inner dialogue begins. That is why walking alone is not just a habit for highly intelligent individuals, but a conscious choice that deepens thought and preserves mental strength. People with high IQs do not feel the need to organize everything equally. Their minds operate on priorities. In psychology, this approach is known as selective organization, meaning that energy and attention are directed only toward what truly matters, while less important details are deliberately pushed into the background. For example, a desk may look cluttered and a room may appear messy. Yet inside that person's mind, ideas are in perfect order. Projects follow a clear mental map. Logical sequences remain intact, and digital files, plans, and workflows are structured with precision. This is because they value functional order over visual neatness. From the outside, this contrast can seem confusing. How can everyday objects be disorganized while major decisions are made with such clarity? The answer is simple. Highly intelligent minds do not exhaust themselves trying to control every detail. They systemize only the factors that actually influence outcomes. This reduces mental load and creates space for creative thinking. In reality, this behavior is not disorder, it is optimization. When the mind is not trapped in unnecessary details, it can allocate more resources to essential problems. That is why what may appear inconsistent from the outside is internally a clear sign of high-level mental efficiency. Highly intelligent people often become suddenly absorbed in a specific topic, focusing all their attention on it for hours or even days at a time. These sudden bursts of interest may seem unusual to others, but they are actually a sign of the brain's natural curiosity and learning mechanism. They strive to understand every detail deeply, integrate new information into their internal mental maps, and rapidly expand their knowledge base. In psychology, this process is explained by the release of dopamine during learning. Dopamine rewards the brain, boosts motivation, and sharpens focus. For a high IQ mind, new and intriguing information is not just data, it is a source of mental stimulation and energy. After a while, this intense interest may fade and shift toward another subject. This change does not stem from shallow curiosity, but from a drive for deep understanding. Rather than learning many things on the surface, they seek to grasp each area at its core. These sudden yet concentrated interests enhance learning speed, increase mental flexibility, and keep the brain constantly active. In short, these brief but deep bursts of curiosity are a clear mental signal of high intelligence, an energetic mind that is open to exploration and deep thinking. People with high IQs tend to avoid superficial conversations. This kind of talk mentally drains them because their minds do not simply circle around words. They seek depth, meaning, and new ideas. In group settings, they may appear quiet or withdrawn, but when the topic becomes interesting or intellectually demanding, they quickly engage and express their thoughts with clarity and confidence. Small talk scatters their attention, consumes mental energy, and ultimately leads to cognitive fatigue. For this reason, highly intelligent individuals prefer conversations that are thoughtful, focused, and purposeful. While this may cause them to appear socially closed off or cold, it is actually a strategy for maintaining mental efficiency. So, if you find yourself talking to yourself, avoiding shallow conversations, enjoying solitary walks, or becoming intensely interested in topics for short but deep periods, know that you are not strange. Psychology shows that these behaviors are signs of a mind that operates at a deeper and more complex level than most. Believe it or not, this seemingly reserved nature is actually a quiet but powerful expression of intelligence. If you want more videos that explore the psychology behind personality and intelligence, subscribe now. because the next video might reveal something about your mind that you've never noticed before.